matter whether it's a cemetery, the old log town, the community of Beagle, the community, and as he was going through the names and that of what this area covered, there was a name brought up, and I sit here and I wonder how many people know where Deppinger Gap is. It's in this community. Yes, there's 5 or 6 of us here that know where it's at. And it was a great part of this little community. And it lays out here on the other side of Dodge Road, and it went over the top and down to the Rogue River, and that whole area in there was some tremendous hunting when I was a kid. as you know.
Had its own post office.
Yeah, that's right. But you know, you look at the families that are here and the upkeep of this little cemetery, and how the volunteerism has shown that no matter where you're at, what you're doing, if enough people can get together for a common cause, you can establish and maintain things. And this is one good example that our forefathers and had come together in the late 40s to save this place, to keep it from going into private ownership. And that was the reason for this association to come about. And the government was in the process of selling back the land, and this land was shortly to be sold to a private individual. They already had communications, and at that time my father was working in the White City area for the state of Oregon, and heard about this, and he told my mother. My mother got a hold of a number of them in their annual clutches or weekly clutches, and they decided they needed to do their thing and get this for everybody rather than for somebody to come in and make money. And so that's how it basically all started, and with the help of them volunteers of everybody, we've got what we got today. And I'm happy to see my old rock, which we hauled in here. It's been, I guess, 12 years ago or something like that, or maybe more or less, that we hauled this rock in, and decided we needed to have something secure enough to put a plaque on. And I figure that it's going to take your excavator or somebody's to move this, and I think we got a good. I think there was a hearse ran into it and didn't seem to hurt it any. But anyway, it's so great to see so many people here for this. When we extended the cemetery from about 10 feet on this side of the old oak tree, there was the end of the cemetery. And you probably heard me say a little earlier about the baseball field. This whole area in here had grown up before we did anything, but that was the old baseball field for the Antioch school. And Morris Frank, which I was hoping that he could have stayed, because he has more stories than all of us put together, played ball on that when he was a kid. And on this side of the old schoolhouse, sitting back toward the back fence, is where they had the stable for the horses, for all the kids that rode the horses to school. And they played over in here on their recesses. And you probably heard me say about the wooden head markers. You know, he said some of them was rotted and fell over, and they would stand them back up if they happened to hit them and knock them over or whatever. And so even when they were kids, they respected this ground that we're all standing on. So anyway, that's kind of all I had. Where is you?
Good.
Wait just a second before you.
Here's one more thing. When they were going to cover the cemetery, there were a lot of rather large markers, and some of them have disappeared or washed away, but they laid them all forward, supposedly, towards the face of the grave, well, forward this way, and covered them all up. And I believe your grandfather, Greb, was in a barber shop, and this man was in another chair, or to hear the news. And this gentleman, he was from California. He said he bought the cemetery, talked to the commander. They'd made a deal to buy the cemetery. It was at auction, but whoever got to the commander first. And he said, it's so neat because there's a lot of those old markers there. I'm going to ship them to New York. People love them for their gardens.
Yeah.
And as a Greb will, he didn't say a word there. He went home and the word got out, and there was even a torchlight march, a parade down the city from all the citizens around the area and from Medford against this. And people, regardless of what's going on in your country, the people still have to fight. Isn't that about the way it was?
It's, you know, it's but it everybody just pulled together to get what we got here today.
And shipping our old stones off to
Isn't
New
that
York
something?
didn't sound like a good idea to us.
Yep.
Well, I think everyone here deserves a vote of thanks, and certainly our ancestors do.